series of What If I Was in Dragon Ball. I know this is going to be a long one, probably going to be like an hour. So we start off with two Saiyan childs being born on the same day, but their power levels are completely different. One of them has a power level of 5, which is Goku, aka Kakarot, aka Goku, aka Son Wukong, aka blah blah blah. And another baby named Christian, who has a power level of 500, has a base power level of 700. I'm kidding. He's a power level of 30,000, stronger than Frieza's. I'm kidding. He has a power level of 500. And then, so when they get sent out on a mission, so when he's in the mid-tier incubator, Bardock says, this kid is actually in the same room as my son when he was born. So he immediately grabs that kid away from the parents and sends and when he has suspicions about Frieza, he sends these two in the same space pod, so they'll end up in the same place, because he wants his son to have one friend at least, and sends these two off to Earth. Immediately they would hit next to Grandpa Gohan's house. They both would get out. Christian's got that spiky hair themey. It's gotta look like a little bit. He's got the Gogeta hairstyle. And he says. So immediately when Grandpa Gohan would come, he's a little bit older. He's like 1 year older than Kakarot. He's like 5. He's like, stand back! And then he powers up a Galick Gun! Yes, I know the Galick Gun in this. He knows the Galick Gun in this timeline. He'd know it just by heart. Actually, no. He'd power up a blast and say, back! And then he put the two blasts together and create a beam, and he says, get back! And then once he gets back, he's like, sorry, it's just my instincts to attack anyone who I can't trust. So he blitzes to Grandpa Gohan, and then he has a tail actually. So he walks up to Grandpa Gohan and says, hello, this is my friend Kakarot. So they both head over to the house, and Grandpa Gohan would treat them, blah blah blah. When Goku transformed into a Grade Up, he has a power level of 10. Christian doesn't look at it. He puts a blindfold on every single night, so he doesn't see the Grade 8 moon. So then when Kakarot turns into when he's about to squash Grandpa Gohan, Christian says, alright, I didn't want to use this, but... He charges up a blast and throws it at Goku, breaking through everything. Breaking and knocking Goku back. He charges up a mouth machine gun and he says, nice try! And then he says, Kamehame Blast! And then he says, energy wave! Alright, I'm back. Sorry, I dropped my controller wire. So when Goku comes right out, and when Goku's about to stomp, he says, energy wave! And then he says this, from the depths of your heart, energy wave! It's a blue energy wave that he blasts at Goku, taking him down. So immediately Goku would revert back. Grandpa Gohan doesn't die. He's like, wow, what skills, my boy. So Bulma would come for the Dragon Balls after the next day. And basically, she's like, ooh, these two might be helpful. Now, Christian already knows how to fly. He's like, what a waste of time. So when Bulma comes to run over Goku, he blasts the car, sending it way back. And the car explodes, but then immediately when Bulma's about to get exploded by the car, he jumps in and grabs her up, exploding when the car explodes. He throws her to Goku. He says, Goku! He says, Kakarot, catch! Goku catches him, and then catches her and puts her down. And then he says, ah! And yeets the car into the sky, exploding. And she's like, what the heck? Slaps Goku, saying, what the heck, guy? What the heck did you do that for? And then he's like, saving your life. Is that I did? And then he charges up a blast, saying, who are you? And why'd you almost run over Goku? And she's like, now we're gonna skip a little bit to Master Roshi's training, where Goku meets, Krillin. Christian and Goku meet Krillin. So immediately when they say, so Christian just says, ah! And pushes the boulder so far it goes into the water. Then he flies underwater and picks up the boulder and throws it right back so Goku can do it. Goku pushes it so hard. Christian's at a power level about 560. He didn't get that stronger from this training, but he did learn the Kamehameha, and so did Goku. Goku's power level, training with a power level of 5,000, his power level is already 200. And Krillin's is about 180. So, immediately starting off with the World Martial Arts Tournament, the first Budokai would go pretty normal, except Christian's there. And when Tien Shenhan is there at first, it's Christian versus Tien. Christian's got that black Naruto-style hair. Then he says, alright! And he's still wearing his Saiyan armor. And he's got a tail and he says, let's go! Tien immediately rushes at him, and then Christian just immediately dodges all of his hits. And then when Tien throws one more punch, he catches and says, nice try! And throws it and rolls him. And then he says, come on, is that all you got? And then blitzes over and knees him in the stomach, sending him flying up in the air. And he says, Ka! May, and then he switches to the other side and says, ha, May, and then he says, Silver Dragon Flash. I'm kidding, he doesn't do that, that'll be later. He says, Kamehameha, shooting it up. So Tien would be hit by this, but then he'd tank it out, and then he'd say, Tri-Beam, and shoot it straight at Christian. He's like, shoot, and then he says, Kienzan. I'm kidding, he says, Energy Wave, putting one hand forwards, clashing with Tien's, and he says, how about this? Ka, May, and then he cups two of his hands and says, Ha, May, Ha, clashing with Tien, making it even stronger, breaking through Tien's tri-beam, sending him flying it out of bounds. And he says, nice try. That was easy. So then immediately Goku and, next match is Goku versus Krillin. Goku would actually have a really, really good fight. Then they would clash, and then he'd throw Krillin on the ground, and then kick him forward, letting Goku win. Goku wins. Next match is Christian versus Tao Pai Pai, and he's like, here we go! And then he says, Energy Blast! He creates a giant orb, and then yeets it at Tao Pai Pai. Tao Pai Pai has nowhere to dodge it, so he's sent all the way back into a wall, dropping him. And he's like, come on! And then he punches Tao Pai Pai, sending him out of bounds, and he's like, weakling. Then the next guy comes. And the next match is Goku versus Fart Dude. Goku would body Fart Dude, because Fart Dude probably has a power of like 5 or like 50. So next match is Christian versus Goku, and he says, alright Goku, let's go! So Goku immediately rushes him, and then Christian dodging all the attacks and says, come on, is that all you got? When Goku says, Kamehameha, Christian sends one hand out and he says, come on. He grabs the Kamehameha, actually lifting it up and absorbing into him, says, you just gave me a power boost. Blitzes over and punches Goku in the face, sending him flying back, and he's like, come on. Then Goku powers up to his maximum, which is about 500. His maximum for now is about 300. So then he goes up to 300, and then they start clashing fists. Christian is at the edge. He's like, come on, let's go! Then he punches Goku in the stomach and says, ah! Then he grabs Goku's tails and says, come on! And then Goku gets immobilized, and he throws Goku out of the ring, then he punches Goku out of the ring, saying, that was a good match. Next match is Christian versus Master Roshi, aka Mutaito. So let's start. So then he says, alright, old man, let's go! He puts up a stance and says, ah! And then punches Master Roshi, immediately sending him back. And then Master Roshi lands on his feet and goes for the drunken fist out. He's like, I can read your movements! Well, Master Roshi goes for his punch, Christian catches it, but then he's jabbed in the stomach, sending him back, and he's like, shoot! Then he grabs and spins Master Roshi, and then grabs Master Roshi's face and throws him out of bounds, making him the winner. But then Master Roshi says, lightning, flash, surprise, and shocks Christian, turning him into a great ape. And he's like, roar, creating the ultimate power. He goes into great ape, and his power level is about 5,000. When Roshi tries to activate and defeat him, he creates a mouth beam, shooting it at Roshi. Roshi and everyone in the martial arts tournament who can shoot beams clashes, sending the beam back, and he's like, And then they all hit him, sending him flying back, knocking him out. And he's like, shh. They don't cut off his tail, though. They don't want to cut off his tail. So they just blow up the moon. Next is the Korin training. Christian and Goku both travel up to Korin's tower, get the sacred water. They get a big power boost, about a power boost of 200. Goku gets to a power level of about 500. Christian gets to a power level about 800. Then he's like, alright. People are like, Christian's barely even improved. Well, I mean, because he has a strong base power. His max power is about 1,500. But we're not going to go. That's like, I'll explain that later. So next they'd go up to Kami's lookout to train for 1 year in the hyperbolic time chamber. Puppa would create 2 clones. One clone of Christian to fight Goku, and a clone of Goku to fight Christian. So immediately these two would close his eyes and throws Goku's clone behind him, slamming him, and says, come on! Then blast that clone, illuminating the clone, killing it. Then Goku would find a way to finally defeat Christian's clone. And then he's like, wow, Goku, nice. So then they go and train with Kami for about a year in the hyperbolic time chamber. But it's actually like 3 years, actually. So they do 3 years in the hyperbolic time chamber, aging them to about 16. They look the same. Then another 5 years with Kami, creating 7 years, so they're about 22. But they're actually not. They spend another 2 years training with Kami, actually, making them 18, making them look like grown, making them look like teenagers. They both are really, really strong. Christian has mastery over his grade 8 form. And next is the fight against King Piccolo. So Christian would immediately power up. Well, actually, this is Kid Christian, not Teen Christian and Goku. I messed that up. He trains, and they immediately destroy him, because Christian goes into Grade Ape, uncontrolled Grade Ape, and just mouth beamed him, killing him. But then he shoots out the egg with Baby Piccolo Jr., and then they go train, and that's when it happens. About a couple years later, Piccolo becomes like a grown adult in 6 years. Don't know how, but whatever. So Goku and Christian would enter the World Martial Arts Tournaments. Oh yeah, let's give a hypothetical power scaling. Christian has a power level of about 3,000, and Goku with a power level about 2,000. 2,500. He'd have a lot of power. They'd be so strong that Piccolo couldn't even contend. So the first match is Goku versus Krillin. Goku would absolutely destroy Krillin. Next match is Christian versus Tien. Christian would body Tien with just one punch, sending him flying back. Oh yeah, Tien's at a power level of about 500. Krillin's about 600. Yamcha's about 400. Chaozu's about 300. And Roshi's about a power level of 1,000. I'm kidding. Roshi's got a power level of like 700. And Tien would probably get a giant. And Tien's max power is about 1,000. Krillin's is about 1,000 as well. Yamcha's is about 1,000. They're all at 1,000 at their max powers. So basically, Chaozu would be the weakest. So now moving on to the fight between Goku and versus Chi-Chi. This would go pretty normal. Goku would actually body Chi-Chi in this timeline. Of course, they'd get the wedding after, but we're not going to go over that yet. So basically, Krillin would actually. So next match is then they sweep through the rest of the rounds until it's Goku. Until it's a 3-way match. Guys, I'll be back.